my soapbox for now.
Well said.
Yeah, that's a tough act to follow. But I agree that when we started this committee, we all said that we had 3 objectives, and we've done those 3 objectives. I don't think it's until we get legislative approval, okay, or at least for them, somebody down there tells this is the way we want to agree to do it. We don't need to get into too deep into the grass, right? We need to get that fixed. And once we get that done, then we can get into the subcommittees and get into some of the weeds, like, which school's gonna be where? How many teachers and stuff's gonna be there? And the size of the classes and things, and the curriculum. Because if the state tells us no, then we beat a dead horse.
That's kind of what the trip's about. Those things have changed. They want more information, and we need to make sure that's what they want. And if they want more information, we're going to have to give it to them.
Because we can't do anything without our legislators. I mean, that's what it comes down to.
And if we go down there and find out we're not going to do this, somebody better be coming up with a plan how we will pay for what we're doing. Because we can't keep doing it.
Where is that cliff that we're going to fall off of?
2030, it's going to hit by this report.
Yeah.
It's got to be sustainable, whatever we do.
And when we're money's going to play into it, this report clearly lays out ways to save $2 million without changing anything about who goes to what school.
Exactly.
You can save $2 million right off the bat, making a few changes, and nobody has to do anything different other than maybe Mr. Bennett takes an early retirement, and you combine administrative staff.
Streamline.
What could we do with that money?
Oh gosh, I don't know,
Not only the 2 million, I mean the 2 million. What could we do for the students and
That's right.
upgrading the systems, the technology and stuff? I mean, good heavens.
Well, if you look to that point, if you look at some of the other school divisions around the country that have looked at consolidation, or in some cases closing a facility down in the name of freeing up funds, being more efficient with how the money is spent, you will find literature out there that will either say increased revenue doesn't equal higher student achievement, but then you will also find other data that suggests exactly the opposite.
Depending on what you're looking for.
Well, and I would imagine, just from my own thinking on it, that there's a fair bit of human error that is to blame for maybe some of the mismanagement of any increased efficiencies that a given district may see. So just because you have more flexibility financially or you have more money doesn't always mean better outcomes. But given the choice between having that flexibility, sort of to your question earlier, Eric, that's sort of the way I see it. If I have a scenario where I can potentially free up more dollars to be spent more efficiently directly to the classroom, or in otherwise not tied up in some bureaucracy, I think that at least gives the chance for better outcomes. I think most people would agree with that just on the premise. Well, exactly, it's how it's spent.
So we really only have 2 choices, right?
Right.
I mean, if we don't do something here, then either the taxes are going to have to go up, right? Going to have to do that, or they're going to have to cut services, like start making kids pay to play ball and stuff. Those
Which is
things,
the worst thing you can do.
Yeah, those things are going. Something's going to have to give. I mean, you just can't keep going back to the well for money when there is none. And I would hate to be the one on the board have to make a decision to cut funding, cut services to the kids and stuff. I think this is the way to go.
Eric,
No, I just wanted to say, I apologize for not being here for the last 2 meetings. I did read this report. It was good information. I think I just still have a few questions, and I hope we go in closed session tonight because I just have some questions I need to ask. don't think there's a problem with discussing the finances, but I'm in total agreement with what Mr. Tucker said. I think that there's some more to this that we need to figure. And if you're saying, okay, we're gonna consolidate, if we're gonna do this and it's not done the right way, that's gonna be a mess too.
Absolutely.
So, you said that we've slowed down. He says we're going too fast. I think that we need to go in closed session because I got a bunch of questions. We need to talk.
We're not going to ask for
now-
any legislative action right now, so that's slowed down.
Right.
I mean, if we
But we know
if
right
we were
now-
really trying to rush things, we have numbers that we could ask the General Assembly for right now. But we want to, we want to be sure of what we're doing and that we can be flexible in these.
And I think this was excellent, but see, like I said, if I had more information, maybe that's why I felt the way I felt, because I never saw numbers until this.
Right.
So I can only imagine what the community is feeling. And, you're the chair, and I know you said no more talking, but I know that people have questions. Just like I'm going to the closed session with about 20.
And I'm fine for people to have
So-
questions, but we can't get in a
Well, we can't
Board
get in
versus
a
audience thing.
debate. I'm just saying. But I do think that there's a whole lot more I think we should present and be ready, even if we don't know, like you said, we don't have to discuss certain things just yet. I think we should be almost knowing what we're wanting as a whole.
to get some of the smaller things.
Well, no, just to get answers. I mean, we can go without presenting. I mean, we had the 3 areas that we said that were important. Equalization and the governance and all, and this gave us that information. It really was good. I spoke with Jonathan and a lot of good information, but I just still think that if we go into something and we haven't covered everything,
Oh, I know, I agree.
and I don't even know what everything is.
Right. I agree completely. And the idea of what we were talking about, this legislation, it was a non-committal thing. I mean, it's like we're asking the state, hey, we're interested in consolidating. If we come up with the proper plan, will you fund us this amount of money for this period of time to make this happen? Will you approve this kind of governance that we all seem to agree on? But we still have to meet all of these things. Would you like to repeat your
Okay, question.
22.1?
If you're going to go and we need this amount of money, okay, are you going to include the medical insurance, which is not covered on that? Then we need to talk about that, do we not?
Right.
Okay.
It's
because that has to be included
$287,000.
in what we're requesting.
Right.
Okay, second, I know this is probably a moot point, but if we talk about capital outlay, one-time capital outlay on some things, in the past, when schools have consolidated and merged, then funds were given for capital outlay as well. Now, I know Bedford kind of ruined that for everybody, but at any rate, we have to see if we can get it. At any rate,
Right.
Because we may have some things that we need to do, and the county or the city may not be able to afford to do those capital outlay things at this point in time. And so therefore, we need to have that included as well. So if we're going to request, say we're going to request this money, is this going to be a possible thing to do? Okay, we need to include those things in what we are requesting. And it's going to be more than just equalization of salaries and making sure that we're not only just equalizing the teacher salaries, but classified employees as well, and also medical insurance as well. Because, we have a difference between the county and the city. And therefore, if we're going to equalize it, then that has to be thought about as well.
$237
Yep.
in the report.
And Mr. Aaron and I met up Christmas Eve, the night before Christmas Eve or something like that, and went through these numbers, and we were just looking at what they what they meant to combine both of them, and you know, we came and to equalize benefits. You know, we were both in agreement that we think that's something that we need to do right now from the get-go. You know, it's not fair to the Allegheny teachers. It's not fair to the Covington teachers to say, I say teachers, employees, to say, you know, we're going to bring you down. And, you know, so in figuring that out, you know, it's $287,000 to equalize the, and then we like the idea of adding in some sort of allowance for you know, an extra 10% at least, just to be a variable.
It's going to be things you can't foresee.
You know, and so that number came out to be about $1.4 million with the $500,000 added in for the early retirement thing. And so we can go to Richmond and tell them we can equalize salaries and benefits and do this for this much, and he tells us how much we could make, you know, how much we could save by doing that.
One of the issues was what Mr. Regimal was talking about, though, and that's to find the exact number. He specifically was talking about the early retirement and what it would cost, what we would need to help fund that for the duration that we would need it. But he was also vaguely highlighting the fact that we will be saving some money in the course of that. So obviously trying to project what would be saved.
I think one thing that this meeting is about and needs to be addressed, not only with our group, but you know, with who you guys are meeting with in Richmond, is this is our chance to say, gentlemen, thank you, or ladies and gentlemen, thank you all for the $400,000 you've given us. This is what we've put together. This is the homework we've done. This is where we are. We've been stewards of your funding. Take a look, you know, what else do we need to do? What else are you looking for? You know, and we build from that. And, you know, I think it's great. I really do. And I think it gives them a chance to see how hard we've worked as a group and the input we've gotten from various consultants, and go back to them.
And I think for myself, and I think Gerald probably would agree, I've heard him say as much in one of our last meetings, is if you combine the idea that if what we're trying to do here is not going to happen, I don't think anybody wants to waste a bunch of time in the course of trying to put a square peg in a round hole. And part of what may make that square peg square would be if Richmond's not on the same page with us. And again, just some of the feedback off the top of my head, probably one of the most prevalent comments that I have heard from folks everywhere is, again, got to be careful with Richmond. They don't always do what they say. So I think we're all pretty much on the same page as far as that goes.
You know, one of the things that we can emphasize to Richmond also is, you remember, Terry said that we'd be better off if we asked for the $1.5 million first year. So look, we're going to save this amount of money, and so hence next year we may not need but 1.25, and the year after that 1 million. You know, because we'll have savings. Because remember what Terry said? He said what the pig got fed and the hog got butchered. Okay.
That hit home with me. And I think that's something that we should plan on doing, is because we are showing that we are getting a savings from the early retirement, so we don't want to ask as much every year. That's the plan we're going to go for. But to Mr. Tucker's point, our school system at the end of every year, our budget surplus goes into a capital improvement plan. And that's where I would expect any money that we have over and above that we have earned through early retirement savings and for that to go into the capital improvement. And I don't think anybody from the state would think twice about us putting that into capital improvement. You know, that has been great for our school system, that the Board of Supervisors allows us to do that, and we're able to do quite a bit with it.
Giving that we can borrow.
But maybe.
The Covington doesn't have a capital improvement.
Right.
I want to go back a minute to talk about the salary equalization. If you look on page 48 of your little book here, The salary scales are a little bit different in that the county has 40 steps and the city has 25 steps.
That's
In
not 48.
page 48.
48.
That's the problem you got, Jake. You got the wrong book. They didn't give you all. It's
Is that chart 48? What's the go?
page 48 in the bottom right-hand corner. What's your page 48 look like?
Early retirement.
Mine's Rockbridge County, yeah.
Man, I got the wrong book.
You have the draft?
I've got the...
You have the draft or the-
Yeah, I've got the draft. It's the number of 200-day teachers on school division wage scales, whatever page that is.
It's 45 in the 45 the one I handed out
in the
tonight.
book you had. This is the one I had.
45.
Yeah, 200
All right. So the scales are different.
45.
County goes 40 steps, the city goes 25 with 2 off steps to follow. In the first 6 county steps, the first 5 city steps, the county teachers make more than the city teachers. Then if you go from step 7 on each to step 21 on the county, 20 on the county, and 17 on the city, there's minimal difference. Hundreds of dollars per year, not thousands of dollars per year. In steps 22 in the county and 18 in the city, which is comparable, it's $83 of difference a year. 23 for the county, 19 for the city, $16 difference a year. Not until you get to the very top of the scale till you see salaries that aren't equal. I mean, they're right up until 28 in the county and 22 in the city, almost $2,000 difference. That's the first time you see that much difference in a salary. So when we're sitting around saying we need to bring the county teachers up, they're ahead in places. We need to bring the city teachers up if you get right down to it in places. And I just wanted to bring that out because we keep saying we need to equalize the county teachers' pay. We need to get the facts straight, and what do we need to do? It's $400,000 to equalize everybody's pay. Not just bring the county up to the city, it's making everybody equal. And those are the kind of things that we get confused, and you hear people talking out on the streets and how much the city teachers pay compared to the county. It ain't that much difference. So we're not getting the information out there as best we can. You said something about bringing the teachers back.
And there's 33 employees
In the county.
for both systems, above salary scale, 31 in the county and 25 in the city. There's 33 teachers or employees over the high scale.
Yeah.
In total. So those would roll off at some point, looks like.
Right. They're mostly people that are close to retirement.
Yep.
Maybe some that would take an early retirement option. And that changes the outlook of how much it would take to equalize the salaries.
Yeah, that's
Well, and that goes back to the retirement projections, and it's difficult with that, and I think it's, when you're projecting like that, you have to be as conservative
Yep.
as you can possibly be.
Getting back to the code, we took 3 topics. The code requires more than 3 topics. And when they go down, they're gonna find out, do we need to add more than 3 topics to make this flow? But that's another reason this meeting needs to be happening.
Yeah, because there's a big difference between the Department of Education and what the legislators want to see.
Right. So it's, until we get that information back, then we can go with the subcommittees and put the rest of the package together.
And that's what starts answering some of the questions, Eric. When we start having subcommittees off of this group, we start looking at how we will utilize the buildings. What kind of curriculum would possibly work? You know, it starts looking at those kind of things. But we've got to get some subcommittees, and we need to get some people on those committees that know more about that particular area. I'm not a person that needs to be on the building committee, and I don't need to be on the curriculum committee. We need people that...
Transportation plans.
Yeah, I know all about transportation.
And that's one of the things that should be our next step going forward is taking this and plugging in, so our professionals and say, what do you think about this? You know, what all this 22.1-25, and going through these and figuring out what we need to do to accomplish those. What can we? What are the benefits of a joint school system? You know, I think that's when we really get into those, and a lot of it's going to kind of guide what we do and how we do it. Mr. Regenball has said that he would come back and help us work on a template for going through these things, and not only his financial stuff, but also the curriculum stuff and those kinds of things, and meet like a mediator for our for all the different parts of 22.1-25. Yeah, so we need to set a few dates for future meetings. I would like to meet on January 16th. That'll be 2 days after our...
Thursday. As long as you don't meet on the second and fourth Thursday on the camp.
All right.
And none on Wednesdays.
All right.
We're Thursday community.
We're Thursday kind of guys.
Okay.
We're like the Rotary, but
First and third would be good.
what's that?
First and third Thursdays are fine.
The first and Thursdays, first.
They're good.
As I've sat through these meetings and kept my mouth shut, Thursdays ain't never suited me, but I'm willing to hang in here.
You're a
with
team
y'all.
player.
I'll tell you, man. I got a meeting at church every Thursday night. I've missed every time we have these meetings. I'm gonna have to decide what to do.
Well, putting us against the Lord, that's not fair.
I know it.
I think we should definitely schedule next, the 16th. It would be nice to get a couple of them on our calendars if we can. The February the 6th, I just have the countywide spelling bee at Gleason Hall. I think that would be good to give us a few weeks in between. Hopefully we can get some
We're just gonna have one more meeting this month.
How many do you want to have?
I'm kind of used to every Thursday night.
You're going to miss this, aren't you?
30th.
The 30th?
No, that's fine.
Well, how about we see what happens on the 14th and see if we need to have some more coming up with this month.
Tuesday.
You said the 16th.
Yeah.
No, we'll see what happens in Richmond.
Oh, okay.
See what happens in Richmond, but definitely we want to meet on the 16th and
Schedule them after that.
and then schedule some after that if that's all right with everybody else.
All right. But definitely meet on the 16th.
Yes, sir.
Here at the library.
Looking at you, Mr. Spangler. Okay. Yes, if we would meet here at 6 o'clock on the 16th, and
The library's closer to my house.
I'll pick you up. I have to pass your house. We do have a couple things to go over in closed session. Is there anything that anybody else wants to touch on before we go into closed session?
Make a motion to go in closed session.
We have a motion, we have a second.
Second.
All right, I need a cheat sheet.